guys. So welcome back. So now that I've done a top down here, I wanted to get right into showing you what I wanted to talk about today, and the decks that I am looking to continue working with throughout the month of May. Again, with May being, this Sunday being Mother's Day, honoring the divine feminine, the mother, maiden, and crone, all three aspects. Oh, there's that number again. Yeah. Okay, let's moving on. The piggies every time. That number. Okay. So give me 1 second. So the biblical tarot, if you remember, even around Easter, I think Easter, well, anyways, I'll have the link, up in the video, the decks that I've been currently working with and been called to work with since, in and around Easter, Good Friday, some of the phenomenons, in regards to my ancestral line, more of my immediate, and where, for me, I feel like the worlds collide here. And so after that video, I had the wonderful opportunity to get into contact with the creator of the biblical tarot, Krasimir Kalin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I do hope so. And I told them about, they were very thankful about, the Easter video where I was featuring their video, which was inspired by the lovely Robin from Robin's Reflections, who did a side-by-side comparison of the biblical tarot. This edition, I believe, is the second edition, along with the shadow edition here. And, again, because of my connection to Christianity, the manner in which I've questioned the entire, and then been, it just sums up the past decade, 11 years since, both of my grandmothers had passed, and just the entire collapse of what I thought was my life's path at that moment, which at the height of that was the incredible burnout that I endured. And anyway, and I think it was in and around that time, as I was, going through everything that I was going through, on account of, being a caregiver in my field as a social worker, working with various clients in from various marginalized communities, and just the fact that I picked that as a profession, and it's a very profession that burnt me out, but it was also something that I knew was, I guess, always my calling in some sort of capacity. but it's changed in different aspects and somehow blended, and here I am. And and I feel like I've, the video that I did, even after Easter, so the one that I did on the Monday following Mercy Sunday, which happens to be when my mother's mom passed. And you'll see how all this is sort of linked, because it's in and around that time too that I also experienced the the experience, the more recent experience that I spoke about in my my episode 2 that I did with my co-host Alexis Milner, Sexy Lexi, and the wonderful Zesty Zoe of Tego, and talked about our supernatural experiences. And I spoke about the day that my grandmother passed, my mom's mother passed, and it was the Monday that I had to vote here in Canada. It was a day that, because I was living like a hermit, I've based on what I've gone through, I'm very much bound to my immediate community, right? And for the most part these days, and I've been living like that for a while. But with all that being said, in that video I spoke about that connectivity. So if you haven't seen that video, that's the one that I did, OB1, and the rest of the title for that, Mercy Sunday. So check out that video. Also, just like I said, the connectivity that I feel to, my dogmatic religious upbringing, but I know there's good in there, but there's also a lot of shadow aspects to that too, just like anything else, right? The aspect of light and shadow, God, the devil, the yin and the yang, all of this stuff sort of combined is the entire balance of all things, right? And anyway, so I can go down so many rabbit holes right now with this, with the connectivity to divination, and the expansion and understanding that it's not just one religion. Somewhere along the line, how the disconnectivity, and Christianity is one of the most chopped up, and I've said that even in my episode 1 in the spiritual void, and that's the like I said, the group channel that I'm currently collabing with, and I'll have a link to all of that stuff down below. But the way that it's like the different aspects of of my life experience, you know, choosing to go down the path of studying to be a social worker, you know, my own mental health encounters that I've had to deal with, and the repairing of that, you know, and in and around the time of this spiritual awakening that seems to continuously be happening, you know, for me. And just the connectivity to this, the biblical tarot, right? And we'll get into more of that, you know, as we go along. But how, you know, as I you know, since, because I only just received the biblical tarot, the shadow edition, sorry, because I've been working with this one since, like I said, since about Easter, just in and around, yeah, like the week of Good Friday. I started working with the biblical tarot, and the readings and, you know, the synchronicities that have been coming up for me with that, and I realized that I was starting to open up to that again as wow, I can really go down so many rabbit holes right now. In just talking about this and anyways, but the finish your thought. Finish one thought before you jump into another one. Okay. This is what happens too. My brain moves so fast, and then when I get excited, things like that. You know, like this, it has me tripping over myself, essentially, right? Like, calm down, piggies, calm down. But anyways, so the biblical tarot, and like I said, with the readings that I've been getting so far, and, you know, the understanding of what it means to do shadow work, and then to have a biblical tarot that actually has a shadow work, and then to have like the dark reflections tarot that I you know, that I've worked with previously, and, you know, I'll have a link to, you know, that when I worked with or in and around Christmas, or no, actually, yeah, well, I worked with it still into Christmas, I think, into even maybe January, but, you know, like, the video is down, like, I'll have a link to it either in the cards or down below, whatever. But yeah, and so, and then to see this, and the amount of, because this can also lead into the whole story of what, you know, creating, you know, the idea came from the spiritual void. Okay, but I'm not gonna jump. I'm gonna try to continue down where I was going with this one. To see that there's a deck that is geared towards shadow work with the biblical tarot. To me, I feel like there's so much work to be done in unpacking religious trauma. And again, you know, I'm again, my channel is all about mental health awareness. It's about, you know, healing, therapy. You know, that's why I started my series, Therapy and Tarot. And, you know, what tools we have to really address religious trauma. And And I think, as I mentioned before, I have other duality decks, and actually, one that I has been on my wish list for the longest while that I still don't have yet is I have the Gentle Heart Tarot by Vanessa Samoya. And you've seen me work with that. I've worked with that during the February month. And she has a dark heart tarot, which, the dark heart tarot, which is I would say, the shadow addition to, the gentle heart. And so I feel like in my brain, I feel like, I need that to balance things out. Like when it comes to, doing this kind of work, to balancing, the light and shadow aspects of ourselves, and fixing the parts that have been broken because of trauma, right? The whole idea and how we have divination and then dogmatic, rigid religion that is very manipulative and calculative and restrictive to its ideology, and the impacts and the effects that has done for us for thousands of years, which is why Christianity is all because every ego, right? What happens when you start worshiping the ego? That's that's the idea of self, the imbalanced image of how you see yourself to another person. That's how we end up putting up walls when and overbalance with the shadow aspects of self. And it happens throughout. But what happens when that becomes, the darkness becomes infectious? And that's how it affects, our divine mother, Mother Nature. No, she's mad. I know why I can look calm and act calm on the outside, but my insides are like raging waters. And it's funny because I also wanted to talk about the balance between, well, yes, the light and dark aspects of self, but when how we end up finding ourselves into these trauma patterns of behavior, right? Between the programming, between, the felt injury, right? Remember, our bodies are made up of what? What's the percentage again of water? 70% water? And if you remember in Frozen 2, and this is why I love Disney, which is why there's connectivity. And I had such a great conversation today with with a wonderful human being, auntie, in Nova Scotia, and I have her tag down below, and the understanding that we had with one another in the human existence aspect, how we're connected to the earth, and understanding my even getting, as I've been on this journey, spiritual ascension and journey, whatever you want to call it, awakening, understanding how connected I am and always have been, but didn't realize to what extent and why or how. But it's in the breakdown and complete tower of my life, and the forced into solitude that I had been in, and even more in solitude during the pandemic. Well, that was a thing that affected what? Okay. In unbelievably horrifying, tragic, traumatizing ways, but clearly is necessary, has been necessary. It's in that introspection that I've also come to learn that we've been prophesizing about this. But if you really pay attention to what we, and this is why, how, and where the whole idea of connecting Star Wars and understanding the concept of Star Wars and the brilliant minds that comes up with these storylines. We've been telling ourselves a story over and over again in different ways, right? It's where fact meets fiction. And that's also where the understanding, where the light meets the dark. That fine line. And finding that balance. And that's where, to me, the idea and understanding and the brilliant minds that can understand things like astrology and astronomy, and where that meets, and how that affects us, because we are connected to so much more than the average mind can comprehend. And that's why I say, those that can get it, get it. Those that don't, because it's not for you. But listen to those minds with their brilliance in creativity to create the things and tools and that connect these methods of understanding and introspection of who we actually are as a divine whole, and how everything we do affects us all, because what affects one affects another. It's that understanding of the butterfly effect. It's the understanding of the laws of karma. These are just tools and methods of practice. The A to Z is not just about my co-host, but it's also about those who, inclusive to who I may find myself meeting in the void, in the spiritual void, who has that higher connectivity and understanding of one another and community and acceptance. You learn that by doing the healing work. That's how we clear our and realign our chakras and things like that. It all starts with the mind. That's why mental health is one of the most important things that we should be looking out for. But we haven't been. Why? Because of ego, because of greed, because of the I can go on and on, but you know, about that. And this is why I think like I want to do a series, like, and why I feel like these decks are amazing for diving into healing religious trauma. Anyhow, so with all that being said, I want to thank Krasimir for giving me the opportunity and gifting me the shadow edition of the Biblical Tarot, along with the illuminating the path within shadow work with the Biblical Tarot big guidebook. And yeah, Robin wasn't kidding. This is a chunker. But I am so excited and can't wait to go through this. Yeah, and you know, I don't even really know how long this is already, because I know I've been rambling so much already. But I also want to just run quickly through, since I've put away some decks. And I think I might split this depending on how long this ends up being. But anyways, but what the decks I'm currently working with and plan to work with throughout the month of May, and how that connects to, you know, again, you know, mental health awareness month, you know, along with, you know, honoring the divine feminine, you know, Mother's Day, the significance to that connectivity, right? And women's health, and like you see the connectivity to mental health and all of that and those things, right? But yeah, I, you know, all of the, you know, and oh yeah, the connectivity following Easter, right? What Easter, the meaning of Easter signifies, right? Who was his mother? Who was crucified? Who died, who was then buried, to rise again on the third day. In and around Easter, dear Pope Francis passed away. May that beautiful man rest in peace. But even with all of those divine patterns and synchronicities, and all of those sort of being connected, his mother's name was Mary. His supposed wife's name was also Mary Magdalene. Like, I can go down a rabbit hole, start talking about the Da Vinci Code right here. But I'm not gonna get into that because it's been it's all about the decks that I'm currently working with for May and throughout May. Okay. Excuse me. But along with this Arrive Today in Time Biblical Tarot Shadow Edition to balance out the second edition, I plan on continuing to work with the Under the Roses Lenormand. I'm continuing to work with the hang on. The Mystic Woodlands tarot infused charmed playing cards by Gillian C. Wilds. And I've also recently brought out the same creator, her Naked Heart Tarot. Think about the divine feminine and the grief that they went through in and around this time, which is funny. We have Mercy Sunday, which is known as the second Sunday of Easter, sorry. Okay. I'm also still working with the beloved Reclaim Oracle, which I still have in this bag. And I'll have links to, the decks that I've, worked with and talked about previously. So if you want to see like a more in-depth look at the deck that I'm talking about, you can check those out. I'm still working with, hold on, let me just put these back. 1 minute. Oh boy, Lana. I know. Okay, hold on. Sorry, guys. I've still working with, but plan to put away, very shortly, my therapy cards for relationships. This is the one by Dr. Ebony that I've previously spoken about. But I've also introduced for the first time a deck that I haven't yet worked with, but I have been planning on for this occasion, and this is the Angel Connections 40 message cards. Well, I don't know why I said it like that. 40 ways, it says here, 40 ways to recognize the presence of angels. So it does have cards that have angel numbers, and I'll show you that in a second. And also, I'm still working with, but do plan to put away, my 1982 playing card deck by King's Wild Project by Jackson Robinson. And this is the one that always has Thessalonians chapter 4 verse 11 on here. On their decks. And I've then since, I'm still working with the Gustav Doré deck. As I said, I am still working with the Influence of the Angels deck as well. I've since brought out the, you know, I'm just gonna put pictures up of these because right now, yeah. But hang on. What's the other one that's new? Oh, I'm working with the Crystal Oracle deck. But this one's probably is going to be going away because there are some decks that I'm going to be rotating into soon for the month of May. And again with Mary and Mary. Oh God, no, stop. They started wanting to sing in Quite Contrary. My piggies, by the way. So yeah. Anyhow. Also, I've brought in this one. This is, oh, so the Angels Tarot by Debra is the one, or Debra, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. I apologize, excuse me. But the Angels Tarot, I've got this one, which is Angels of Healing and Hope Oracle by Ellen Valadares, and illustrations by Yasmin Westwood. And of course, I'll have all the links for, you know, all of what I'm talking about in the description box, so don't worry. If I haven't, like, you know, said, you know, the creator for all of the decks because of all my rambling. But yeah. So also, oh yeah, let me put this one there. Now, I absolutely love this first one here. Well, not first, you know what I mean, that. That I hope to rotate in soon, that's what I should say. And this, I had to, like, the story behind this getting this deck to track down when I first saw it. And this deck is made right here. Well, when I say right here in Canada, I mean by a Canadian creator, and it's through a local supplier that I was able to come across this beautiful deck. And being able, having the opportunity to have it in my possession now and be able to work with it even during a time where, it's about promoting beautiful Canadian creations, because of, all this war with tariffs and all of that, and the difficulties that beautiful creators that are trying to put out their stuff are having to go through because of all of this uproar. For what reason? Other than ego and greed is really the only reason for this, all of this. Okay, upheaval. Where the terrorists are concerned. But anyway, no, don't go down another rabbit hole. Stop it. Okay, so back to this beautiful deck. And this is by TJ Malign. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, it's pretty much the same. It's the same last name. And this is what makes my inner child giggle, because the connectivity to, you know, the writer and creator of the beloved Winnie the Pooh story. And if you haven't seen my unboxing to, you know, that beautiful box set that was lovingly gifted to me by Serafina and her wonderful team of Ruin Vervain, you know, for the opportunity to work with and review and just talk about my experience working with it and the connectivity to the stories and how all the arts are connected, you know. Anyway. So this is such a beautiful deck. And I, you know, have been in wonderful contact with, you know, the creator, TJ, and, you know, just like, look how beautiful. Dare to follow your heart and the magic of your intuition. And it brings me, what sparks to mind when I read that is, of course, the story of Winnie the Pooh. I also, the artwork on the cover on this, and I'm going to do a separate video about this, specifically this deck, because I don't want, like, right? Like, anyways. But while I'm here, what I see here in this artwork is a beautiful dancer, ballet dancer, but is also connected to divine energy, what looks to be some branches and flower energy that is emanating, right? Like, and feels and seems to be very fluent in the connectivity to the essence of this ballet dancer that I see here in the image, you know. Anyways, so yeah, but I'm gonna do a separate video for this, but also wanting to work with, and there are more books. I have spoken about this, and I do believe I did. Yeah, I did. I did a joint video with my beloved friend, Priscilla, over at Priscilla's Tarot Corner, about, you know, Mary Magdalene and stuff. And that, if you haven't seen that, you know, please go check that out. But also looking to work with, you know, the deck here with Mary Magdalene Oracle, and by Megan Watterson, and of course the other deck by the beautiful Megan Watterson. And of course, these are both by Hay House. Not the one that's underneath, not the top Thoughtful Journey. That's an independent printed deck, but this one here is Hay House, along with the other one, the Divine Feminine Oracle. which is also by Megan Watterson. So both of these here are decks published by Hay House. This is an independent, and this one is what seems to be independent, but I think is maybe a smaller version of a mass market, maybe publishing. I'm not entirely sure. Krasimir, you can, of course, if you're seeing this video, you can by all means chime in and let me know, exactly what is what. And if I do in editing happen to find the info, of course, I will pop it up on the screen. But yes. So stay tuned for, my experience working with all these decks. And as I go along, I feel like there are other decks that I want to, that I eventually want to work with in and rotate in later on. But like I said, I don't know how long this video is. So, and of course, like I said, depending on how long, the first set of rambling went on for, I might just chop that up into two. So who knows how many videos you're going to see over the course of May in regards to working with the Biblical Tarot, along with the Shadow Edition of the Biblical Tarot, the Mary Magdalene, along with the Divine Feminine, and the all the other decks that I've have spoken about, and stay tuned to see what other decks I'm planning on rotating in, because there are some favorites that I know, and the thing is, one of the ones that I do want to rotate out now, but I'm having a hard time parting with, is of course the Reclaim Oracle. That is hands down one of my absolute favorite decks. And since reaching 200 subscribers, I think actually at the last check that I happened to see, I was at 201. And just how thankful I am for that. So of course that now unlocks the giveaway for the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, also by beloved Rue and Vervain, and the wonderful Serafina, who through some divine mix-up managed to end up gifting me 2 copies of that deck. And so, of course, if you haven't seen my unboxing of that, that I did, of that wonderful gift and the connectivity that when it came, and that has been the connectivity to my mental health journey and healing, and the connectivity to how that connected to therapy and tarot. All of that, just the connectivity to it all just continues to, blow my mind. And so, I'm so happy to have this giveaway, to have this extra copy by fluke, from the beloved Serafina of Ruin Vervain, and at a wonderful time, in and around the closeout of a successful Shadows of Wonderland campaign on Backer Kit, and how wonderful I'm and happy to be a part of that witnessing journey, and experiencing journey, because having the opportunity to work with the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, as well as the Wisdom of Pooh Tarot, and then now to also have the opportunity to be a backer for the latest campaign of the Shadows of Wonderland Tarot, and that connectivity to the story of Alice in Wonderland, but from a very shadowy, healing, introspective, shadow working perspective, if you will, for introspection and all of that, and connecting that with tarot for divination, for creative thinking, and like I said, reflection and so on. Like I'm so grateful to be a part of that journey. And stay tuned for a continuation of the story of my working with Alice in Wonderland, but like and on all the Alice decks that I have currently, and the ones hopefully yet to come that I know I'm absolutely going to love. But yeah, so stay tuned, because I'll also be, working with the books for the Biblical Tarots, along with the books by Megan Watterson that, correspond to the Mary Magdalene Oracle and the Divine Feminine Oracle, and embodying love, and hopefully working through some tough things together, in regards to unpacking religious trauma, especially with a focus of Christianity, if you will, and combining that with the work of therapy and tarot and oracles and the work of divination for the sake of healing, right? So, please stay tuned for all that I, will be working with and sharing with you along the way in my experience working with all of these decks, collaboratively, if you will, and how the messages speak to one another and connect with each other, and how that's been, how I've been, reflecting on those messages for myself, and how I read that, and we'll be reading that for all the collective, right? So that we all can reflect upon the messages that all of these wonderful creative workings of mind have been able to put together, meshing creativity and spirituality and introspection and knowledge of all of these things to expand our minds and our hearts, and bring balance and realignment to us all, both as within, so without, right? So, I hope with all that being said that you have, or that you've enjoyed my video and are excited to see what's to come. And again, if you are interested in entering the giveaway, since now for the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, since we've triggered the giveaway now, please comment down below your name, what has been your favorite video of mine on my channel to date, and of course, please be a subscriber and give a like to this video. And the more by the end of, let's say, the month, I'm going to be running the giveaway for the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. And I will count every comment with your name and your favorite of my videos to date. You know, all of those things will count as an entry. And of course, if you're telling me that you do want, you would like but those are really what the keywords that I want to see. And then, you'll be entered, and once I figure out how to use the wheel, because I'll probably just end up old schooling it, like the last giveaway that I've done here on my channel, where I just put names in the bowl and shake it up in pieces of paper and whatever, like, old school it like that or whatever. But we'll see. But whichever is going to work best is is the method to use. And yeah, and see, which lucky subscriber will get to win that first edition copy that I still happen to have of the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle, by Rue and Vervain. And thank you again so much to Serafina for, being so generous and gifting me what was first gifted me in the first package, and then of course, what the added bonus beautiful copy of the deck once again. So I wanted to thank everyone to date who has brought me to this point, even with 200 subscribers, and to all those that are willing to join and build and share in learning and putting together all of these things, and using what comes out of my videos and the work that I'm doing in my practice with the decks, and how I'm sharing that with you, for how that is helping you and benefiting you for your greatest and highest good, because this is why I've began creating the channel in the first place. And given everything that I've been through, I want, in the best way that I can now, show my love and be there supportively for you too, because I know what I've been through. And as I am wrapping up my, I guess, abandonment storyline of healing, if you will, on my journey, this is how I am finding to transmute that energy for the greatest and highest good, not only of myself, but for everyone else too. So with all that being said, I love you so, so much. Thank you for joining me on this very long, probably going to be parted up into I don't know how many parts, once I see how long this video ends up being, video. And please like, share, and subscribe. Please also don't forget to comment down below, and especially if you want to be entered into the giveaway for the deck, the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. And then of course, stay tuned for what I hope to have as a giveaway, in thank you of your support on my journey and this building of this channel and my practice. I hope that that I am love. And as I see myself as love, I know you are too. Because as I am human, so are you too. And I hope that you will take in stride everything that I have lovingly been sharing with you, and will remember to take care of yourself and one another. And I hope that you won't forget about me too, because I love you so, so much. And until I get to share with you again next time and interact with you again soon, please always remember to check your privilege, mind your magic. And as always, don't forget to live, listen, and learn. I love you so, so much. Bye, everybody.